Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's Gargoyles Angela Ultimate Action Figure, which is basically a Goliath-colored version of Demona. It's not really, but, I mean, practically speaking, there's not a whole lot to talk about here that's new stuff. But it is a new Gargoyle figure, so I'm going to review it for you. And it's done as well as any of the other ones so far. I still think probably Hudson is the biggest standout of the bunch. He's a really, really strong release. But this one is too. And there is some stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, I have her legs bent about this much, which I'm guessing she was drawn like Demona, which means she's usually more straight-legged, but her legs are too long for that. And for scaling purposes, all of the gargoyles need to have their legs bent except for Goliath in order for him to be as big as he needs to be, so I'm just gonna have her kind of somewhere in the middle there for height purposes. And I don't have Goliath to pull out right now. These things take up way too much space, so I'm not gonna do any direct comparisons right now, or I'm not gonna do it until we have Lexington. Once Lexington's out, I'll compare all the gargoyles in one video for you guys so you can see what they all look like. Alright, so she stands to the hair about 18 centimeters, to the top of her head probably closer to 17.5. And that's going to be roughly 7 1/8 inches to the hair and about 6 3/4 roughly to the head. Here she is up against Darwin. He's got some size on him. It's a larger scale figure. Okay, question of the day. I'm going to keep asking this until something changes on this front. What shape wings do you want to come with the gargoyle figures? Because for me, it has to be the A-shaped wings. And I'm going to keep saying that. I think she does share a lot of Demona's parts, honestly, which is fine, but they do look very familiar, the arms and legs. Anyway, the wide open wings, it's cool to have them, but practically speaking, and I understand why you would want them, but practically speaking, if you're going to display these, I'm guessing most people don't have the space or the desire to have the wide open wings, and that the relaxed A-frame wings would be far more practical. Because even if you want to pose the figures fighting or something like that, with the hinges built in right here, the A-frame wings will still get the job done, and they'll look good on a shelf. The gargoyles almost never have their wings wide open like this, in this particular pose. So, unless they're gliding, so I definitely want those wings. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the aesthetic. First glance, everything looks really good. I do believe it is mostly the same parts as Demona. So the sculpt is nice, the shapes of the legs and everything, shapes of the arms. Maybe the forearms are a little bit long. They look kind of weird, like elongated. That's a little bit strange. I do recognize the hands now, so I'm thinking, yeah, it's a lot of Demona's parts. New torso is new, and it looks pretty good. They did a good job with the, what would you call it? It's not stitching. Whatever you call that. The lace-up part of the chest. There's texture throughout the clothing. The stitchy lace-up part on the side of her shirt is pretty good. The way it splits at the torso isn't great, but what are you going to do about that? Belt is done nicely. Texture throughout is nice. I don't know if mine's crooked or if this is just off to the side design-wise, because I keep trying to rotate things and I can't get it to rotate. No, it looks like it's just because it's glued in right there. We're going to have to buy our dinner after this. So it's glued in right there, which means it's just sculpted off to the side. So don't try to twist things. It's just, this is off center. So for those of you with OCD or whatever it is that I have, be aware that's going to drive you nuts, but it's there. We do have the metal wrist thingy. That's nice. Metal earrings. That's nice. It looks good. Downside. Well, let's talk about the face first. I think the face is a pretty good likeness. They did a good job. They are softening the features a little bit now, though I think they might have... Hers is kind of weird. Her eyes look really weird to me. Like they're too big. Like, because they're so long from side to side and kind of flat, the eyeball itself would be like the size of a cantaloupe in her head. So it's a little bit weird looking, but overall it's a good sculpt and the paint job is applied nicely, and like the eye thing is obviously not a big deal. You just might notice that her eyes look kind of huge, but otherwise it looks really good. So I like that. Now here's the downside. Should I say? Okay, one other thing before I get to the downside. Her wings are basically the same purple as her body, which Goliath did not have. He needed that. His wings were much darker back here, which was unfortunate. Her purples match pretty much. She does still have the blue shading in here on the black. That's nice. Looks really, really good. The hair is sculpted well. I like all of that. Okay, now here's the bad thing. She has the speckly shading that Broadway had and that the Foot Ninja had. Hers is a lot more subtle, so it's hard to notice, but it is still speckly. And that's not supposed to be that way. I don't know what is happening at the NECA factory right now, but you should not have speckly shading. But the shading is better placed than Goliath, so that's good. I think they kind of finally worked out those kinks. So yeah, aesthetically speaking, it's a really solid release. A few nitpicks here and there, but otherwise it's as good as any of the other releases, again, other than the shading thing. It's really obvious on that one leg. Can I get the camera to try to focus, please? Yeah, anyway, okay, it looks really good. So aesthetically speaking, 8 out of 10. The shading being speckly is no bueno. Otherwise, it looks pretty good, but that shading is covering the entire purple part of her body in some way or the other, so it doesn't look great. All right, now as far as accessories go, we do get the neutral head that comes on her in the package. Well, it's actually a faceplate. Then you get the angry one. I love that. Looks wonderful. Very, very nice. Is that the same one as Demona that's just been repainted? No, Demona's head is different, so it shouldn't be. I don't think so. Okay, 4 hands. You have the 2 relaxed hands that come on in the package, 2 fist hands, and then 2 other accessory hands, which are most definitely Demona's because she doesn't come with a gun. Feeling a little bit of weirdness going on here. All right, now as far as other accessories go, you get the egg, which I didn't even realize opened at first, but it does crack open, so that's kind of cool. And then you get the baby Angela, which I'll just show you in person because it has some articulation. And it's done pretty well. Looks nice. Is it something we needed? Probably not, especially since she's grown up right there. But whatever. The wings do swivel and they do have a hinge. All right, so be very careful. It's a very tiny joint. The tail does have the hinge and it also can swivel. And then the hips are on ball pegs so she can move around. And then same thing for the arms. Or they're on hinges, I'm sorry. Swivel hinges. And the head's on a ball peg. So yeah, it's a nice little pack-in type figure, but it is of the same character that you have right here, so I'm not sure that there's going to be a whole lot of, like, I guess in a few instances somebody might want to take a photograph of her as a baby with like Goliath or something, but I don't know that that's super necessary. But either way, accessory-wise, 5 out of 10. Frankly, it's lot of this figure is repaint, and we don't really have much other than the egg and the baby, which I don't think are super good accessories. So not thrilled, especially since we got a trigger finger hand and a gun holding hand because it's not Demona. I don't care for that. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for accessories. Now, the head is on the ball peg that you would expect. It still has minimal range. The hair is bendy, which is nice, but it's really only functionally bendy at the 2 narrow spots. So you can lift it up and that will help you to lift the head up some, but it's still, the heads are still having a problem with the hair and the wings. It's going to be good enough for basic posing, but nothing extraordinary. For the shoulders, you get your full rotation, of course. Get your hinge up to horizontal. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbows, fine. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. I think you might want to get some soft pliers maybe and pinch this so that's, well, I guess it's okay. It was kind of getting stuck on the arm, but I guess that's fine. No big deal. All right, for the torso, I think it's a double. Well, actually it feels more like, yeah, I think it's a double. It leans side to side a little bit, not a ton. Forward and back a little bit, not a ton. And you get your rotation. It's pretty good. It could be stiffer, I guess. Well, let's see. Yeah, it's a little bit loose. It's not super loose, but it's okay. It's all right. The waist is just a swivel. That's how all the Gargoyles have been so far, except for maybe Broadway. I don't know. At least Goliath, he was like that, and so was Demona. So it's just a swivel there. Hips are the same as Demona. Could be tighter joints. It's a ball socket. Going out to the side is actually quite loose. Going forward, looser than I would want for sure. Doesn't have the best range either, going forward or back. Double jointed knee, that's going to work just fine. Plenty of range there. Ankle joint, plenty of range there. You get an ankle rocker right there, and you get one down here at the hinge, which is like another ankle joint realistically, or practically, functionally. You get the hinge, and you do get more rotation, so that's all good. The tail, same thing as Demona. It's fairly thin, so it's quite bendy, which is a good thing, but it also isn't great for supporting her weight. And then it does rotate easily, and the hinge is there as well. So it's not good at all for supporting weight, so be aware of that. And she does have loose hips, so it's kind of annoying. Now the last thing to talk about would be her wings, which I'm guessing connect just like Demona's, which is a good thing. They're not sculpted in like Goliath, which was a silly idea. These just have full rotation, though the ratchets are super heavy. You get 2 positions from straight up to where they belong. So you're not getting any nuance in that posing at all. So be aware of that. Oh man, and it's such a heavy ratchet. That plastic in there, watch what it's doing. It's fighting against the PVC body. I hope that doesn't end up popping out. Ooh, that is... I gave it a tug to see what would happen, and it is definitely not very tightly put in there. So that's something NECA's gonna definitely have to work on. It's not like a fatal flaw. They don't pop out on their own. Oh my gosh. Now I can't get the... What's happening? Is it busted? Not from me pulling it out. It's actually, the ratchet is so heavy that the plastic, the purple plastic, is twisting before ratcheting. And so I feel like it's gonna break if I keep trying, which is not good. So that's not good. Don't mess with the wings too much, apparently. Oh, I wish I hadn't noticed that. That's not good at all. Yeah, so I can't even do this now because that came loose from me using the wings. I can't even use the hinge. All right. NECA, this is not good. This side's gonna do the same thing if I keep doing it. So yeah, they do hinge nicely, but it's a heavy ratchet. And look, it popped it out. Just from using the hinge, it popped it out. So you're gonna have to grab this with some pliers, or if you have really strong fingertips, get these to where you want them and then peg it back in. That's not good. That is not good. Those need to be glued in place very securely. If you kind of push against the body and then do it, you can get the hinge going, but oh man, that is not... There we go. That's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. All right, let me get her assembled. Get her head back on. That's unfortunate. I bet you Demona has the same problem. Okay, so articulation on this figure, because of the wing problem, it's not great. The rest of it seems decent. I'm gonna go 7. Luckily, it's not a fatal flaw for the wings. The part that comes out can just peg right back in, and you can manage, just push it against the body and you should be able to get them to work, but it's not a good design. That is something they need to work on. Loose joints here and there in the hips too, so it's not the best release they've done. Let's just do a final rating. It's not the best release. It's good enough. It probably has the fewest accessories, the most reused parts, and some serious issues here and there. So I'm gonna give this one an overall rating of only... For NECA, it's only gonna be a 7 out of 10, and that's probably too generous. But I mean, like, the new sculpted parts are nice, and at a distance the shading looks nice, but the speckling is not good, loose joints not good, wings falling off not good. A lot of problems with this one, relatively speaking. So hopefully this is not a new trend for the Gargoyles line. I don't like having problems in my NECA figures. So yeah, 7 out of 10 is probably generous, but I'm gonna stick with it because it still looks good at a distance. It'll look good on a shelf. Okay, that's enough rambling. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.